So as we get started this morning, you might need a journal or some paper. Let me start with a little bit of a meditation. If you don't have any nearby, you might want to grab it. I started watching this week. Have you guys seen The Bear on FX yet? So good. I recommend it. It's like, I think it came out in like June or something, but we just discovered it. It's so good. About a chef in Chicago who's codependent. Oh my God. He goes to an Al-Anon meeting. I'm like,
oh, right, my alley.
Yeah, right up my alley. But it's really good. It's such a good show.
Now I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun having a series.
Hyla, you cut your hair.
Yes.
I love it.
I caught it in Mexico. I wanted to do it with you, but you were in vacation while my birthday was happening. And I wanted to do it for my birthday, so.
I wish I would have done it. It looks so good on you.
You'll maintain it for me.
I love it. Yay.
Because I'm not gonna fly over.
Well, it's so cute. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, today our theme for the day is the perceptions of our mind. We're going to get into the first book of the Yoga Sutras, hopefully by the end of the day, is my goal. We're going to work with some twists this morning. And then just so you see a full sequence of what a class looks like with twists, but also just to give you an experience of like taking each pose a little bit more like technically, physically. Not that, like I said last time, not that you have to teach in this way, but it just might offer a cue or something that you like that you can take from. So we're going to do that first, and then talk about the anatomy of the shoulder for a little bit, take a break. And then I want to, my main focus for this afternoon is to introduce how to do a sequence, how to put together a yoga sequence for a class. So we'll spend as much time as we need to on that, and then whatever's remaining we'll do with the Yoga Sutra. But that's the goal for today. I want to take a second while you're settling in, getting your notebook, your pen, getting comfortable in your seat. I just want you to come into an easy pose of some sort. And just take a moment in your own process of getting present. Deepen your breath. Maybe let out some sighs, any held energy. Just exploring kind of any tension in the neck and the shoulders. You might do some gentle movements. And I just invite you to this present moment together. Soften your face and your jaw and your tongue. And just sense that softening down into your heart. And just noticing where your energy is in this moment. And use the breath to guide it all the way down into the bowl of your pelvis. But our intention this morning is just to open up to the divine wisdom of the universe of this practice. So we take time to learn and study new perspectives, and just trusting that what we need will integrate, that our soul will intuitively know what we need. As we soften our resistance and our control and our manager, we let that part of ourselves take a little rest. So we can just have an experience, whatever that is. I want you to bring your attention into your body, into your flesh. Maybe sensing skin and muscles, bones, organs. The manifestation of your life in your body. Maybe scanning where your body is touching. As you feel into your physical body, you can ask your body, what is its message for you this morning? What does your body need? With the gentleness, like you were speaking with a friend. Allowing your body to take its time and its response. You can write down or just allow for the words to come into your consciousness. Whatever your experience of your body is here in this moment, let that be your experience. Try not to manage the message as you practice listening. And trusting your body. Now bring your awareness into your mind, to your thinking mind, your discerning mind. Go ahead and turn your attention there. Give your mind all of you in this moment. What does your mental energy feel like this morning? Is it fast or slow? Is there a clarity or a fogginess? Inviting in whatever the experience is of your mental energy. And as you put your awareness into your mental energy, you can ask, what is your message for me today? What do you need? Mental energy. Take the next couple minutes to listen or write any messages from your mental mind. As that feels complete, you can move your awareness into your heart, taking a moment to notice your emotional energy. What does it feel like emotionally to be you this morning? Maybe if there's a heaviness or a density, you can drop even below that first layer. The emotions of love or fear. What does your emotional energy need or want to share with you this morning? Take a moment to be in that aspect of yourself. Your breath is your anchor. Through all of these aspects of ourselves. Take a moment to say thank you to your emotional self. And shift your awareness into your spiritual essence, yourself with a capital S, your soul, your expansion, the seer in this moment, the observer that sees the full picture of your lifeline. And perhaps many lives. What does that part of you feel like this morning? What does that part of you have to say? What is the message for you in this moment? From your soul. From your consciousness. Receive. As that feels complete, take your time. Make your way into a child's pose. Maybe you gently turn your gaze at your third eye. And invite in your breath slowly and sweetly into your space. Relax your jaw, soften your throat. Maybe there's a stillness that you're needing, or a gentle rocking. You continue to check in to the four aspects of your existence. Checking in with what do you need? What is the message? a sacred space of listening. You can adjust your knees a little wider or sink a little bit deeper or let go of the commentary of your thoughts. Let's take 3 more breaths here together. You can walk your hands back underneath your shoulders and either come to Sukhasana, easy pose, or you can sit on your heels. Take some time with placement on the altar of your yoga mat. So starting in your roots, you might move the flesh of your seat out of the way. Sense into your sacrum. Maybe leaning into your back body just enough where you feel some stability from your sacrum. As the weight stacks all the way up your spine, the back of your heart is in line with the back of your sacrum, the back of your head. Draws back slightly. And your eyes gently turn towards your third eye. With your right hand, you can take your peace fingers and place it right at your third eye. Take your thumb and plug your right nostril. Take 3 slow breaths on the left nostril. Just inhaling and exhaling, all on the left side. And taking your ring finger, plugging your left nostril, and slowly taking 3 full breaths. The intensity of the breath is completely up to you and what you need. So check in. Going back, plugging your right nostril, take an inhale on your left nostril, full breath all the way in. Pause as you come to the top of the breath. Switch and exhale out of your right side. Nadi Sahana breath. Inhale on your right nostril, slow and full. Pause at the top of the inhale and switch. Mindfully let the exhale out through the left side. Inhale through your left. Switch as you exhale. Inhale on your right. Switch as you exhale. Slow, full, and with a mindful pause at the top. Pausing as long as it feels good for your body, and then switching as you exhale. There's nowhere to get to, but right here, right now, having this experience. Switching with each exhale. But even if you get off, just noticing and allowing for what happens next. The mind will get distracted. So we just guide it back the best we can, moment by moment by moment. Practicing what it takes to do this in our day-to-day life. Completing the breath that you're on, so taking a last inhale and a switch as you exhale, and just allowing your hand to come back down onto your lap somewhere. Letting your mind do what it does. Your soul do what it does, your body. You can bow your chin to your chest, rounding back, maybe even hanging from your shins or your knees. A seated cat stretch. Initiating the movement from your pelvis first, as you sense that wave coming up the spine, up into your sternum, across your collarbones, elbows gently hug towards your ribs. Can you soften your throat? Gently turn your gaze at your third eye. Draw that energy all the way up through the crown of your head. Rocking back and forth. I'm not as interested on intensity and speed. So go at the pace that still allows you to have a full experience of your body, of your mind, of your heart. Of your spirit. From the hips as you come forward, make some circles with the ribs spiraling around to the right, to the back, to the side, to the front. Working where you need some more mobility. Maybe it's more about your hips to start, or your shoulders. But as you gain more clarity with repetition, you can start to work in the nuance. Each vertebrae of the spine, can you create some flexion? And the nuance, like throat, are you holding in the cervical, neck? What about your head? Is it dense again? Take 3 more in this direction, working either the gross kind of movement to bring more mobility or nuance and clarity. Inhale as you come back through the third breath, up through the center, and let a full exhale just drop out of your body. Do that 2 more times. Big full breath right up the center, all the way up to your brain. Drop it out. 1 more time. Spirals the other direction. Inhale as you come forward, spiral around. And exploring where you might need more mobility, where you might be a little stiff. And noticing the nuance. Through the energy, through the physicality of your spine. The nuance of your emotional heart. Good. Couple more. Inhale as you come back through the center, big full breath all the way up through the top to your brain. Let the bottom drop out. A few more of those. Sucking in full and deep. Dropping the ball. Letting it all go. As you return back. Take your legs wide now. Upavista Konasana. You might rock a little bit. Again, giving that physicality, that physical part of yourself, what it needs. You bring your hands to your legs and gently roll them back behind you, even press down through the palms of your hands on your thighs, your hip creases. I'm a little stiff this morning, so I want to take a little more time in mobility first. Before I start to work the nuances of the energetics of every pose, pull your belly in towards your spine. So the one thing is I tend to let my belly hang out in the front here because it feels better, I guess, easier. But I want to draw some energy into my belly button. I start to feel the length of your spine through the crown of the head. So use your core energy to create some space between each vertebrae. Like feel your obliques on the sides of your waist, even drawing in and up. And how that attention to your physical body, like what does that create? What response might that create in your system? Maybe you flex your toes up to the ceiling. What does that create in your system? Then if you invite in the breath, what does that offer you here? You can bring your hands back behind your hips just as a bit of a support for the spine. Not that you don't still use your core to create length, but this just gives a little bit of tractioning to the spine. Keep your neck neutral, but feel your sternum lift towards your chin. For more of a physical stretch, if you have some stiffness in your hips, start to roll your thighs back behind you. It's an external rotation of the thighs. But can you do that external rotation of the thighs without clenching your butt? Or letting your belly just relax out? Can you draw your belly in? Maybe your chin is neutral or even chin towards the chest just to take any strain out of the neck. Let's take 3 more full breaths through the length of the spine. Can you let your thigh bones get heavier? The tops of your femur bones drop out of your low back. Good. On the next inhale, take the breath all the way up through the spine. Maybe pausing at the top. Relax your tongue and your jaw with a mindful pause of the inhale. And as you exhale at the bottom drop out, you can release your arms, release the effort. Take your right foot into your inner thigh, Janu Sirsasana. Right foot to the inner thigh. Roll the flesh out of your way. Feel the bent knee, the right thigh rolling behind you. Right, so it's the external rotation of the right thigh down towards the floor. Muscular energy of the core to get a bit of rotation. So lengthen up through the spine, all the way up through the crown of the head, and start to turn your shoulders towards your left toes, towards the straight leg. Nice deep full breath in. Exhale, I want you to fold forward, walk your hands down the leg, just at your own flexibility. All right, body, what do we need here? Can I walk my right fingers out a little bit longer than my left? Rolling the right ribs down towards the floor as you lengthen this crown of your head towards your toes, creating space. 3 more breaths. And inhale as you come up. Twist towards the bent knee, left elbow to the inside of the left extended leg. I want you to think about now twisting the other way from the rib cage. You're rolling open. Slide down the inside of the leg just to the level of your flexibility. And keep rolling the sternum, the heart up towards the sky. What's going on in your neck? Is there tension? How do we release any tension, but keep the muscular kind of action? So using your core and maybe a little bit of traction, a pull in your left elbow, you can get more space, more rotation. The right hand can stay just down to keep the shoulder happy. Or you can take the right arm up and up by your ears. You reach for the toes. Let your right thigh bone be heavy. Your right hip be heavy and grounded, but the energy from your core, can you brighten up from the inside? Inhale as you come back up. And exhale to release and switch to the other side, left foot to the inner right leg. Starting with Janu Sirsasana at the action of rolling the thigh back, twisting towards the extended leg, brightening up, and walking forward or folding forward into what your body needs as it releases all the resistance we carry. Keep feeling that left bent knee, that thigh bone kind of rolling away behind you to the back edge of your mat. Just noticing what aspect of yourself is calling your attention here. The physical, is that calling your attention, the mental, the emotional, or the soul. As you come up, make it slow, right up on the breath. The counter twist towards the bent knee. The muscular action of brightening up, but without clenching your butt. Right elbow to the inside of the knee, add that traction so you can continue to get grounded, letting go in the hip, but rotation from the rib cage going on in the neck as you come forward. Add the reach of the arm if you'd like, but if your shoulder is not a happy camper this morning, just keep it down. There's nowhere to get to. It's just having the experience. Shifting our mindset from what am I producing? What am I accomplishing? What am I learning? What am I not learning? Am I ahead? Am I behind? Inhale as you make your way back up. Exhale as you release your hands back down by your sides. Come on down to your back. Get rid of some excess fire. Hug your knees into your chest. Maybe you rock a bit. That feels good. Wrap your arms around your shins as deeply as you can. Maybe you can reach for your opposite elbows. The key focus here in Apanasana is letting your butt relax. Can you bring your tailbone towards the front edge of your mat as you hug in your knees as deeply as your flexibility has for you this morning? And invite in your breath. Relax your shoulders. 3 more breaths here together. On the next inhale, take the breath all the way up through the spine. Exhale, you're gonna curl up towards the knees, like make a tight little ball and push out the exhale fully, as deeply as you can. Like you're trying to blow out a candle, blow it all the way out. Inhale, make room for the breath. Head comes down, knees release. Exhale, curling up again on the exhale. Don't pull in your neck. Make the chest lift towards the legs. Keep going, release down and curl back in. If you need fingertips behind your head to keep your neck relaxed, do that. On this last one, stay lifted. Maybe bring your hands behind your head for some neck support if you haven't. Take both legs straight up towards the ceiling, and we're just going to scissor your right leg down about halfway. Open up your feet, your toes, lift your shoulders a little higher off the floor. You might rock a little bit, get more energy through the bottom of the feet, lift your heart a little bit more towards the legs, more towards the toes. Can you steady your breath? Sink your bottom ribs a little bit heavier towards the floor and pull your belly button into the spine. Feel your sit bones squeezing towards each other on your butt, towards each other, and a gentle lift up off the floor. 3 more breaths, holding in that fire, nice and steady. Soften your eyes, soften the parts of you that need to be open as you work in your abs. Lift a little higher into the burn. Exhale, you can release your head, neck, shoulders, bring your knees back in. Take both legs, extend them up to the ceiling. Inhale, lift your head, neck, and shoulders up. Scissor your left leg down halfway. Extend out through the bottom of your feet as if you were standing in like a warrior one pose. You know, you're rooting through your feet. Lift your shoulders a little higher up. Can you get more of you up off the floor? Belly in, low back sinks into the mat. Now, what aspect of you is calling for your attention? Is it your mental, your physical, your emotional, your soul? 3 more breaths, lifting into the burn, the shakes, the drama that ensues when we have to work at something. And release. Maybe your feet come to the mat. Let the breath return and move any density, any burning energy, let it expand. Walk your feet towards each other, let your knees drop open. Baddha Konasana, Supta. Laying down, Supta, Baddha Konasana, bound angle. As I say the words in Sanskrit, just allow them to wash over you as if you already know the language. There's nothing to grasp at or to memorize. It's just letting the experience become part of you. One more slow, full breath through the spine. Good. You can draw your knees together. Do some rock and rolls if that feels good for you. Get a little kick as you rock up. Rock back to the shoulders. Rock up, rock back. This can offer a lightening up, or maybe just a massage across your back. Do 3 more. Good. All the way back now. Knees can come into the chest. Hug them in pretty deeply. Take your arms out to a T. And you're going to roll both knees over to your left side. Bring your knees up towards your armpits as much as you can. So tuck your knees up towards that left arm. We want the twist to be up into the upper shoulders. Slowly let the right side get heavy. From the shoulder blade. Letting the ribs get a little heavier with each exhale. Sathara Parivartanasana. Inhale as your knees come up, maybe one at a time. And we'll make our way to the other side, rolling your knees to the right, tucking them up towards your chest as much as you can. Making any adjustments as your body needs. The further down your knees are from your arms, the lower the twist is in your back. So pulling the knees up pretty tight towards your armpit allows for the rotation to be up around your heart. If that's too intense quite yet this morning, let your knees drop further away from your arm to that space that allows for breath. As you explore your 4 quadrants, your body, of your mind. your heart and your soul. The next inhale, let your knees roll up one at a time. Back through the center as you hug both knees in pretty tight. If you can do that again. Inhale, take a deep breath. Apanasana. Exhale, breathe out as you curl up. Inhale. Exhale. Last time, inhale. Exhale, hold in the lift. Take the right shin into both hands, extend the left leg up. Yeah, Ardha Apanasana, right? Take your left leg, extend it out a little bit further, lift your heart a little bit more. Or no, this is Pavana Muktasana, sorry. Pavana Muktasana, extend out through the bottom of your foot, lift your chest a little bit more and switch. Hold, lift your chest towards your knee, relax your neck. Pull your belly to the spine. Maybe you feel your sit bones drawing towards each other again, and a slight lift, and then switch. Feel that and switch. And switch. Like a yoga bicycle. Keep going. If your neck is feeling it more than your abs, bring your hands behind your head. Take your neck out of the equation. Lift a little bit higher in your chest. Let's go for 5, 4, 3. Belly to spine, recommit. And now let's back pedal, push down through your heel and up. Back pedal, lift into it. Just observing all these aspects of ourselves as we put ourselves into the fire, into the clarity of your breath. 2. And 1 more full breath. Oh, it burns so good. Release all the way down. Let your legs drop. Maybe walk your feet towards each other, the bound angle pose. Supta Baddha Konasana. Full breaths from your toes to the crown of your head. Let's take 3 receiving breaths. And bring your knees back together. Do some rocks. So if you want to do a couple, maybe 3. You're gonna roll on the 3rd breath. You can cross your shins and rock up to a forward bend. Or just come to your forward bend, however you want to go there. Pull your belly to your spine as you exhale. Feel your chest kind of lengthening towards your toes. Roll your shoulders out of your ears. Create some length in the neck. Maybe you shake your head a little bit. Put your hands in your hair. Rock your weight forward and back in your toes, your feet, your heels, lifting the arches, all your layers of nuance. Maybe you kind of wag your ribs side to side out of your hips as you lift halfway, soften your throat, third eye gaze maybe. Exhale, belly to spine as you fold. Just like Apanasana, inhale, half lift. Feel the spine lengthen. space in the vertebrae. Exhale, belly to spine, folding towards the legs like an accordion. Inhale, take the breath into your brain. Exhale. Inhale this time all the way up, rooting to rise through the legs. Your pelvis floats forward as your arms reach up. Maybe a bit of a back bend. Let your pelvis float towards your toes as your heart lifts to the sky. Returning to Samastahi, hands to heart center in Tadasana. Bow your chin to your chest. Surya Namaskara A. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Little back bend, little heart lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, belly to spine as you fold. If you're out of chaturangas today, just go to the floor or make modifications to your sun salutations that work for you as you lower in chaturanga. Lift into your cobra, but roll your shoulders back. Think of those nuances of your elbows hugging into your ribs, your heart softening, your throat softens. How about your third eye, your crown? Exhale, receive as you release. Inhale back through your hands and knees to downward facing dog. Open up the hands, drop the heels heavy, but feel that muscular energy lengthening the spine, creating space in the vertebrae. 2 more breaths. Inhale, high up on your toes, deep bend your knees, jog, step, walk, float to your forward bend. Half lift as you come. Exhale as you fold. Root to rise all the way up, down through your feet. Thighs are strong, pelvis float. Exhale, hands to heart center, Samastahi. My favorite word to say. Inhale, take your reach all the way up, your prayer up. Exhale, let it go. Whatever your pace or intensity needs this morning, follow what you need. Stepping back, moving through your chaturanga. A nuance of cobra that we've been learning as you roll your shoulder blades down your back pockets, hug your elbows in, soften your throat, maybe look up with your eyes this time. Exhale as you come to the floor. Downward facing dog, shifting back on the exhale. 5 breaths. Inhale, high up on your toes, deep bend your knees, step, walk, or jog, half lift as you come in. Exhale, fold, root to rise all the way up. Hands down to your heart. Samastahi. Inhale, take your reach all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. This time, step your right foot back, a high lunge. So keep your back knee lifted, but your hands can stay down if you'd like. Lift your chest. Maybe you drop your hips. We can do lifts and lowers on the breath if you'd like, in and out. So your right foot is stepped back. So we want our right hand to be on the floor. Bring it out to the outside edge of your mat. A twisting lunge, left hand to the left thigh. Use your hand on your thigh to push into your back body, like lean back before you even twist deep. I want you to, like if there was a wall behind you, I want you to push back into the wall. Keep the back thigh charged up and then spin a little bit deeper from the rib cage, from the heart. You can reach with the left arm if that feels good for you, make circles. But sense your back body. The back of your head moves back. The back of your heart moves back. And twist happens naturally when there's space. Inhale as you come up, exhale when you put your hands down. Let's just step our right foot forward and then the left foot back for the other side, sinking down into the lunge. Lift and lower on the breath for 5. Think of your body like a spiral, a deep spiral from the inside essence. Every movement is an unspiraling of energy. Maybe that unspiraling's in the hips as you sink, or your throat as you breathe. This time, left hand will stay down on the floor. Maybe you sweep it out a little bit wider. Give yourself some space. Right hand to the right knee. Lean back into that invisible wall on the outside of your yoga mat. Like lean back. Then the rib cage, the torso can twist. The sternum can move up. The right arm can reach. Maybe the neck is a little tight this morning. Let the head go. Maybe make circles. Follow your 5 breaths here. Exhale, bring your right hand back down to the floor. Step back, high plank. If you want to take a flow, do it. If not, we'll meet in down dog. Inhale, come up high on your tippy toes, deep bend your knees. Look where you want to go and step into it. Half lift. Exhale, fold, root to rise. Inhale all the way up. Hips press forward. Spine lengthens as you reach to the sky. Exhale. Returning to your heart, your hands, your breath, your body. Inhale, reach your arms up, chair pose, Utkatasana. Sit low. Tuck your tailbone under a bit just to engage the belly. Feel your belly button back to the spine. Notice how your shoulders may want to hunch. So can you squeeze your arms around your ears and lift your chest, working in that heat, 5 breaths. Maybe you lift your toes. Are you rooting through the first toe mound? Are you rolling out? Where do you want to put your attention? What nuance will focus you towards more and more truth? Good. Exhale, release, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale and fold. Step back, high plank. Chaturanga. Cobra, nuance. Shoulders roll down. Make space in your back bend. A softening of the front body. Exhale. Downward facing dog, shifting back. Right leg floats up. Step in for warrior 1. Placement, place the foot. Spin the back heel down and root to rise all the way up. The left hip moves forward, the right hip moves back. Are you collapsing in that back ankle? Can you root through the outer pinky edge a little bit more and feel that inner body brightness all the way up through your fingertips, but keep your neck relaxed, your throat open. Inhale, take a full breath. Exhale, take your time, make your way, high plank. Chaturanga. Down dog. Left leg floats up. Step, placement. On the sacred altar of your yoga mat, root to rise. You rise up out of the dirt. Watching for those transition, ankles, the joints, we think of those as transitions. Right? So where in our transitions are we collapsing? Root into the outer pinky edge. Feel the brightness. I love that sense of that word, the brightness from my inner body, from the spiraling out of my energy. All of our muscles are connected. All of our body is communicating, spiraling, moving energy at once. Take a big breath in. Exhale, take your flow. Downward facing dog. Release in your neck, your shoulders. Open up your fingers. Watch for those parts of you that want to coil in and protect yourself and manage. Inhale, high up on your tippy toes, deep bend your knees, step walk, hop to forward bend, lift your heart. Exhale, surrender. Chair pose, sit low, Utkatasana, sweep your arms. Now it's harder coming from the floor up to not come out of the nuance of this alignment. Belly pulls in, that's your fire, that's your creative passion right here, pull it in. And then watch how your heart might want to collapse in fear. Squeeze it up. It needs some muscular support. Inhale as you rise up, Tadasana. Pause in your actions, but open to receive. Breathe through your nose, not through your mouth. Maintain your energy. Inhale, take your prayer up, chair pose, Utkatasana, belly to spine, all that good stuff. I want you to wiggle your butt a little bit, get more length in the spine, but don't drop out of your creative fire, pull it in. Sit low or bring your hands to your heart. Parvrita Utkatasana, right elbow to the left knee, twist it. You have to sit lower. And you need to make space in the spine so that brightness of energy lengthen from your butt to your head. And then lean back as if there was a wall behind you. Don't even worry about the twist. Lean back. Like both shoulders, could they be flat against a wall on the outside of your yoga mat? And then rotation happens from the ribs. Where's your breath? Where's my breath? Exhale, release back to center. Inhale, half lift. Let it go. Exhale, bow. Inhale all the way up, root to rise. Ready? Take your seat at the table. This metaphorical table. Right? Belly in, heart lifts, no fear. We're in Lionsgate coming up on Monday as I'm staring at my lion picture right here. Hands to heart center. In the clarity of the fire of the lion, we twist left elbow to right knee. Lean back against that imaginary wall. Don't even twist yet. My thighs are burning. It's so good. Lean back. Then press your prayer together. Squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other on the back. That creates your twist. Oh, exhale, I'm sweating. Bow. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, let it go. Take a flow if you'd like. Clear it out. Release your chaturanga. Good. Downward facing dog. We'll meet there. From down dog, take your right leg, stretch it up. Step through placement for warrior two. Spin the back toes open. Virabhadrasana 2, rolling the shoulders open as you come up. Sink into that front thigh, scoop your tailbone under, move your shoulders back against that imaginary wall. Maybe your palms are more open this morning, open to receive. Maybe your palms are down, your focus a little more clear, gazing over your front fingertips. Charge up your back leg a little bit more as you sink a bit deeper into the thigh, side angle, elbow to knee. Parsva Konasana, reach through the left side body. As you root through that back foot, reach through your fingertips. Sink a little bit deeper into the lunge. Inhale, come all the way up. Trikonasana, arms to a T, straighten the front leg. Hinge forward over the toes. Again, that bottom waist, can you get more space? Is your spine crunched? Or is there an inner body brightness to create some space in each vertebrae? Lean back against that imaginary wall. And then let the ribs, the barrel of the ribs roll back as the flexibility is there. Good. Release. Bend the front right knee. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Reach the right arm out in front of your right toes. Hop that back foot up until you come into standing on that right foot. Activate your legs. Root through your feet, just like triangle pose. You got to push through your feet, squeeze through your thighs. Then visualize that imaginary wall behind you as you start to lean back. The back body is trust. You got to lean back. You got to open slow into trust. The rotation happens once you lean back, maintain your balance, then you open the shoulder. Release back down, maybe into a lunge. You can take a flow if you'd like, or a rest and receiving. Left leg floats up. Warrior two, step it in. Spiraling up. Head, shoulders, ribs, hips, are they in alignment? Maybe come out of the lunge or lighten up in a way that you need to create more clarity in the alignment of your body. Pull your belly in, bring your pinky fingers towards each other on your back, like squeeze your shoulders towards each other and sink deeper into the lunge. Elbow to knee, side angle, Parsva Konasana. Reach your right arm up by your ear, root through your right pinky edge of the foot. Get as much length in that side body as you can get. Good. Bring your right hand to the hip. Triangle pose, come all the way up. Trikonasana, arms out, hips shift, hinge to a block or down onto your ankle or the floor. Imaginary wall, lean back. Your hips have to go forward for your heart to lean back. Right hand to the hip, Ardha Chandrasana. Foundations are strong, the legs are active, so we can trust to lean back and to start to spiral the hips open, to spiral our hearts. Exhale as you're ready to release that side. Take a flow if you'd like, or a resting space. Right leg floats up. Step the foot between your hands. Come all the way up to standing Prasarita Padottanasana. The wide angle is pretty wide. The toes have slightly pigeon turn in. The arch of your feet draws up. Get your placement first. Especially we're working pretty strong. If you're not up for that or you need to turn the intensity down, take your time. But I want you to sense that inner body brightness, that drawing up through the crown of your head, maybe hands on the hips, a little Wonder Woman energy, a little heart lifting, but maintaining your roots as your heart is open. Lean into your back body just a moment more. Inhale. Again, feel that muscular energy drawing the spine as long as you can. You feel space in each vertebrae, and then your pelvis starts to tip forward. Your heart keeps lengthening. You might even pause halfway down, turn your nose towards the floor. Now feel like an angel is gently tractioning, pulling your head for you long, and your butt is drawing you back. You got an angel at your thighs, pulling you back. Maybe put your hands right on your hip creases, push into the thighs as you fold forward, getting a little bit deeper in the hamstrings, pausing maybe 2/3 of the way down, and feel your heart start to lengthen as you tip deeper, one vertebrae at a time, all the way down into your head is the last thing down. Your arms can come to your ankles or bind behind your shoulders or just rest on the floor. 5 breaths, Prasarita Padottanasana. The nuances of rooting into your feet, toning your thighs, and making more space in the spine will get the crown of the head to the floor eventually. One more full breath. Inhale halfway. Maybe your hands come under your shoulders to lengthen. Walk your hands around to the front right leg, or whatever your front right leg might look like. We'll do both sides. Head to knee, Parsvottanasana. Parsvottanasana. Step your back foot maybe a little bit shorter. Bring your left hip forward. Again, that alignment of your feet, your thighs. I want you to feel your back thighs start to spiral in first. Feel that spiral of the hip. You might release it and just spiral. Practice that spiral sensation. Twisting is a spiral of energy. It's not dense, heavy movement. It's a complete movement through your whole body. Let it start in your roots. So feel that spiral of the left thigh as it rolls forward, how the hip wants to come. See how you get more space out of the left ribs. And maybe your right hand just stays on the right hip crease just to practice the spiral energy. On this last one, let it spiral from the leg and come into a revolved triangle. So thigh bone, ribs, lean back into that imaginary wall, and then feel your rib cage start to externally rotate, your sternum moving upward towards the sky. 5 breaths. Good. Release both hands back to the floor. We'll walk around to the center. Just come to the back leg, whatever side that is. Starting with Parsvottanasana and that spiral of the back thigh. Right? Even the shin bone has a bit of a spiral. The thigh bone, the hip. If you can't get the spiral, put blocks or something, a chair under your hands. Take the intensity out of the stretch. As you spiral the thigh, you might start to feel the spiral of the right ribs kind of lengthening and twisting. As you move towards Parvrita Trikonasana, the left hand can be on the hip. Spiral, 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 lengthen like the angels are pulling you from the crown of the head. As that spiral it starts and the mobility starts to loosen, you might be able to go deeper, lean back. Like just lean, put the hand that's on the floor, put weight in it. Lean into the invisible wall. And then let the barrel of your chest roll back. Parvrita Trikonasana. Good, release back to center. Walk around to the middle. Come back to the front leg, whatever side that is. Starting with head to knee pose. Root to rise like a warrior one. Again, where's your spiral? From the back side, feel that inward, as if you were aligning not only your physical body, but whatever metaphor, energy, quadrant you're working in, what are you bringing into that spiral, that matrix? Bend the right knee like warrior one. Keep practicing that spiral. You can come out of it and come back into it just to set up a new pattern in your body. An inward spiral, that left elbow can come towards the right knee as you lean forward. So keep thigh bone, hip bone, rib cage, elbow to outside of knee. Bending that front knee. This is revolved side angle. The back heel is heavy, but it's okay if it lifts off the floor slightly. Just keep the energy moving towards the floor. Keep the spine long, so lengthen out through the crown of your head and lean back into that invisible wall. Then the ribs roll open. Good, release. All the way up. Woo, legs high. Turn your feet. Setting up maybe warrior one on the other leg. If you move that right thigh bone, you know, maybe the work for you is just right here and feeling the movements have symbolism in our system. Maybe this is speaking to you in a way. Listening. Okay, so back thigh spirals in, back hip spirals. Where's your ribs? Are they spiraling with it, or does all your energy get stuck in your waist? Spiral it. Maybe you go a little extra with the shoulder as you spiral. Play with spiral energy as you come forward in that front thigh, feeling the ribs lengthen out of the right hip, elbow to the outside of the left knee, in that revolved side angle twist, lean back into the invisible wall. It takes more rooting to lean back and trust. Lean back into your back body, spin the sternum up. Maybe your left arm reaches up by your ear, maybe it just stays on the hip. Can you sink a little deeper? Are you managing your experience? Can you let go a little bit more? On the next breath, release down to the floor, walk around through the center, around to the front leg, taking a lunge, step back through high plank, down through chaturanga, cobra, downward facing dog. Good. Release back down to your hands and knees. Touch your toes. Widen your knees. Sit back to your heels. Make that connection with your hips and your heels. Maybe you rock a little bit. Invite in the breath to settle you in as you walk out with your hands. Or balasana, child's pose. Good. 3 more breaths here. Full clearing breath. On the next inhale, you can come back to your hands and knees. Right hand to the floor. Let's do the full thing actually. So take your left leg out to the side. Let's start there. Left leg out to the side. I like to turn my toes towards the front edge of the mat. It's just more comfortable on my knee, but some people spin their toes to straight out. That's fine too. Right hand's on the floor. Open the twist. So left hand to the hip, left arm up to the sky. The right hand that's on the floor, I want you to put weight into that hand and lean back. Lean back so the spiral of your ribs can turn upward. On the exhale, inner spiral, thread the needle. Feel the thigh bone spiraling down towards the floor. The rib cage spirals and lengthens, and the left arm can slide out how you always do in your thread the needle. The right hand can stay as support on the floor. It can reach above your head, nice and long, or it can wrap on your back. Whatever your bind you take here, let it be nurturing. 3 more breaths. Inhale, use your hands to press you up. Bring the left knee underneath your body. And we'll switch. Right leg out to the side. Left hand's on the floor. Start with the twisting open. Weight in the hand. You really get to use your arm to make some space in the spine. Lean back. Open up. Oh, goodness, it's like the best. Full body breaths. On the exhale, when you're ready to inner spiral, feel the hip. Feel into the nuance of the spaciousness of each moment of cueing as you lower into the thread the needle. The shoulder can come to the floor, the head can come to the floor. And inhale, use your hands to press yourself back up. Bring your knees back together. come up onto your knees. Ustrasana, hands to your low back, camel pose. Push your pelvis forward. Again, feel your angels giving you a yoga adjustment, lengthening all the way up through the crown of your head. The breath just clears through each chakra. Your elbows may gently start to draw back to widen across your collarbones, to make space in your pectoral muscles from your sternum across to your arm bones. And then, like there's a lift in your sternum. Squeeze your butt, make your foundation strong. If your full camel is bringing a hand back, you can. Either to a block or to your heel. And you soften your front body, bring more attention into your back chain, but activate that muscle that runs along the spine, all the way up behind your heart, all the way up behind your neck. Inhale when it feels complete to come up. Exhale, just sit to your heels in a version of Virasana. If that's not comfortable, just come to the floor. Close your eyes. Use your breath. Good. Coming all the way down to the floor. As you come to the floor, bring both legs out in front of you. Take your left foot into your hips. So pull that heel all the way up. And take a moment just to wiggle around in there. See if you can get your left sit bone down without falling over. That inner body brightness, can you lift up through your chest, soften your throat. Feeling your feet. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and I want you to just start to twist towards that bent left knee. So you can use your arms and your abs. And you can lean back, like if your belly gets in the way of your thigh, lean back, twist, and then sit back up into it. If you're able to, that right elbow can kind of hug around the knee, and the left hand behind your hips, Marityasana. Lengthen up through the crown of the head. And feel the barrel of your rib cage going into rotation. The left hand can travel further back behind you towards the right side, right hip side. For even more rotation, let the neck slowly start to turn and gaze over your shoulder, and even your eyeballs spiral toward the corners of the left corners of your eyes. If you're able to unhug the shin and really hook the outer right elbow to the outer left knee, you can do that. That's going to be more stretch for the right shoulder, and it's going to facilitate a deeper rotation. Good. Release on the exhale. Keep your legs just where they are, but your left elbow comes to the inside of the right knee. We're going to twist the other way, right hand behind you. In this open twist, because we're moving towards an open hip, you might get a little bit more. Speaking of a little bit more, if you want to add or play with the bind, The left arm can straighten out, press into the inner thigh. So you move the arm away from the twist into the leg, turn the thumb down so the arm bone spirals down, and then you can wrap the arm around the shin and then take the right hand back behind you. If you're not clear on what all that means, you can look here, but oh, I'm so tight. Good. Release as that feels complete. Switch sides. Right foot comes up to the hip. Start just hugging in. This is phase one here. Phase one, even twisting towards the thigh in that inner kind of spiraling way, might be where you work today. You can inner spiral and take the left arm and hook it around the shin. Bring the right hand back behind your hips as you continue that inner spiraling. You can, just like we did earlier, it might feel good to come back and forth. A repetitive movement can help loosen any rigidity or over trying. As you want to continue that spiral, lean back so your ribs have space to move in rotation, and the left elbow can hook on the outside of the right knee if you're open to that. 5 breaths wherever you end up. As you complete that, we will counter twist to the open hip. So right elbow to the inside of the right knee, twisting towards the open left side. Adding the bind if you want to play with that. Extend the right arm, press it into the inside of the knee. Turn the thumb down. You might have to lean forward a bit to get the elbow to bend around the shin. Reach back with your left fingers. Oh, goodness gracious. CrossFit makes me tight. Lift and twist. If that feels good. If the bind's too much, just go back to where there's space and breath and energy. That feels complete. Release back down to center. Straighten your legs. Move the flesh of your hips out of the way. Dandasana, staff pose. Your hands are right under your shoulders on the floor. Press down through the palms of the hands and feel like the tractioning up through the spine. Bow your chin to your chest. Brighten up your insides, so lift your chest towards your chin and your chin to your chest. Keep the root in your hands. Without clenching in your low back, flex the feet, tone the thighs gently. Extensions, extensions through your hands, extensions through your feet, extensions through the spine, but rooting. The parts of you that touch the floor, feel the floor. 5 breaths. And release down, inhale, reach up. Muscular energy, draw up. Relax your neck, shoulders, throat, lift your torso out of your waist. Paschimottanasana, fold forward, belly towards your thighs first. Hands to your feet or your shins somewhere. Roll the shoulders out of your ears, send your heart towards your toes and fold forward. Keep moving into the space as it becomes available to you. And inhale as you make your way back up. It's your sasana. No, shashasana. Lay on down. No, sarvangasana. Sorry, my Sanskrit's getting jumbled. Sarvangasana, shoulder stand. Sarvangasana. Hug your knees in. Rock your hips up. Bring your hands to the flanks of your low back. This might be a stopping point for you. Just like a little pike position, your hips can rest in your hands. The energy of this inversion is activation, feeling your feet drawing to the sky. Tone your thighs like they're drawing upward. Walk your hands down the backs of your ribs towards your shoulder blades. You might even feel your hands pulling on the skin of your back as you move your heart, your chest towards your chin. Gently press the back of your head on the floor so you're not collapsing in the back of the neck. There should be a lift away from the floor in your cervical spine and your neck. If it's flat on the floor, create a little bit of space in your neck. Find your breath. You can lower down in the way that you love to. I like to let my knees kind of drop down towards my head. Maybe even taking a plow pose before you lower down with your toes on the floor and your thighs lifting up to the ceiling. There's energy in the legs. They're not just heavy and hanging. The energy is moving upward. So come out of plow, both legs one at a time can come up. And if you haven't already, roll down nice and slow to a flat back. We can take bridge pose or fish, whatever sounds good here. Just a gentle back bend. I think I'm going to do bridge. Just feels a little gentler. Feet on the floor, hips lift. Maybe roll your arm bones under your shoulders and really feel the width across your collarbones. Feel the softening in the front body. As that feels complete, you can release all the way down. Maybe resting with both feet on the floor. You can walk your feet together in Supta Baddha Konasana. Let your knees drop open. You adjust your hands a little bit away from your body, or you touch your body. Let's take a few breaths here. This pose helps to bring balance to our energetic system. To return us back into that center channel. Where all of the aspects of ourselves can coexist as one. If you're good where you are, stay. If you want to adjust for a little 5-minute shavasana, you can make that adjustment. And slowly bring your awareness back into your breath. As your breath deepens, it might initiate some inner awakenings, stretches, wiggles. Maybe your eyes naturally want to open, maybe not. I like to bring my hands behind my head, like I was laying in the grass, looking at the sky. Maybe noticing what you see, the lights, the color, shadows. Maybe taking your time, it's 12 o'clock right now. I want to give us just a little 5-minute break. If you need to use the bathroom, get some water. We're just going to talk for about a half an hour and then we'll take a little bit bigger break. You just need to lay here for a little while longer or do anything else. Do it. I will set a timer and see you back about 5 after. All right. So I'd love to hear a little bit, any feedback, anything that's jumped out at you, any questions you might have, any cues that's kind of you heard that made sense or didn't. From that part of you that's learning how to teach, what resonated, or any insight or downloads?
I liked the lean back, although I almost fell over a few times. But the leaning back does give you that opening. Instead of trying just to twist and open, it opened from like maybe I would say lower in my spine instead of me trying to lift from up the back. I got a little bit more like my rib cage opened up.
Yeah, good.
But like I said, I almost fell back a couple of times too.
Leaning way back into trust.
I have a wall behind me when I try to do that.
Yeah, we got to feel those things out.
Maybe don't lean back quite as much.
Yeah,
I like that was a good one.
good. Anybody else?
In Warrior 2, you said something about stretch your pinkies towards each other behind your back. And I don't think I've heard that one before. And that one really, like, I felt that difference the moment I did it, and I filed that one away.
Awesome. What'd you notice? What was the big difference in your
like
body?
My lower shoulder blades, it activated something that I wasn't getting to before.
It externally rotated your arms and shoulders slightly for me.
Yeah. Open, you mean? Like turn your palms up?
It just opened me up more.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I like that one too. I like palms up. I tend to, it's just a little softer. I get more space across my shoulders. What else? Even from meditation this morning.
I will share something that I got during meditation because I teared up a little bit and I've never really do that. I think when you were saying like when we were going through all the different aspects of physical, of course, you know, I'm having a shoulder injury, so I'm more in a physical, more aware of that physical. But like when I started listening to like what the body telling me, I really got, you know, I'm always like, oh, be more gentle or something. But today it was more of like validation and more and like how much I appreciated my body. And during meditation, it was so strange. Like I saw my body. I had some visuals of my body when I was a child. Of almost like, I know this sounds so weird, but this is what came to me. So y'all just are getting what I got. Like I could even see like when my legs were hairy, like when I was young, before I started shaving. And just how long my body has been with me, right? And how I'm so judgmental on it and it's aging or I can't get into that stretch because my hamstrings, but just how much it has really given me as well. Like this shell has been so strong for me. And I started seeing all the different changes like my body's gone through in life. And this is just one more change, you know, and I have to be more appreciative and give it validation that it's doing a great job. You know,
I love that.
So yeah, it kind of teared me up a little bit, and I was able to just then, if I have that, I can be more gentle with myself. So yeah, appreciation.
I love that. And seeing your little legs when you were a little girl, that's so sweet.
See that came. Like I was trying to I started visualizing like me as an 8-year-old or running around, and I could visualize everything about how my legs looked, how my feet looked, and my toes and Yankee, because I was always playing outside. But it was just seeing my body from everything it's done for me and how long it's been with me, and just to quit being so hard. If I can't get in a certain position, it's okay. It don't matter.
Oh,
Anyone else would like to?
For the first time, I liked your cueing when we were in shoulder stand and talking about, and I think I've been doing it wrong all this time. I put a lot of pressure on my neck. And when you cued, I mean, now I'm listening to specific cueing, and you talked about lifting your shoulders or creating that space. And I'm like, oh, I never realized. And just thinking about it made me create that space.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's a big one. And we'll do inversions next. But yeah, that space in the neck, we just tend to collapse in there.
Yeah.
So good for you. Keep your throat chakra
Yes.
open. Who else? We'll sit in awkward silence until I hear from some of you I don't ever hear from.
Twists are so good. They feel so good. They're hard, but
Tasty right now.
yeah. It's like squeezing your body, and like when you untwist it, and then it's like such peace. I guess that's why it's hard for me to find the words, because it's like, I don't know, for me it's really impactful when I do twists. Like it's like I'm squeezed, and then it's like I'm squeezed, and it's like tightening and like letting it go. So that's how I feel right now, in a lot of serenity.
Yeah, that's a truth with twists for sure. A lot of, especially back in a few years ago, the word detox was really popular, so it was always like after Thanksgiving, the teacher would teach a twisting class, to detox, which it does, I guess, have that quality, but really it's a lot about it's a detox of the nervous system. All the compression, open, like you just said, exactly. It's very calming. But your internal organs too get some squeezes, which is good for detoxing.
Pilates. Can you hear me today? Because normally
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I brought home my work computer because our computer at home is so bad. So this is better. But I think when I was on a big Pilates kick, they talked a lot about like the rinsing and wringing that you get with twisting. And so I always imagine that when I'm doing it, and it just, I don't know if it's the added visualization, but it's like I can just feel all of the bad things, not toxins necessarily, but like just negativity sort of being rinsed away when we have a series of twists like that. And by the end, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. Because I was like, if I stop moving, I'm going to fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. When we get tired like that, I mean, it's good. It's what you need. There's nothing, we don't have to up our energy to share or to do any of the rest of the day. It's allowing for the way we feel, I think, is just such a beautiful practice. But still being able to stay present. Because I think I've definitely heard a few different stories this week. There's a lot of stress and worry going on in the group. there's a lot of wondering if you're going to be able to do this, or if you're behind, or how you're going to take all of this in. I've just heard from Emily a little bit, nothing specific if that you shared with her, but just she was reflecting that there's a lot of, you know, wonder of how you're going to do whatever you're trying to do. That can create a lot of stress. What else? What landed this morning or didn't land?
Like the way how you cued the twists, because I always had this belief that it was like super hard for some reason, like twists. I thought, oh my gosh, how do you take people to a twist? It's one of like the hardest because of my dyslexia, I guess. It's like it's left and right, and then, but you just gave two cues, I think, and then just expanded from there. But it was easier than I thought. Like when I was practicing them, I was like, oh, well, it's easier than I thought. But now that I heard you today, that broke my paradigm, right? Like what I thought, it was harder. You just took us there so easily today. So that was very good. And then also the part that you started off with, I don't remember the name of the Sanskrit name, but the revolved twist and like laying on our backs. You started off with that versus ending it up with that, which is also breaking up a lot of what I usually see in class. And it made total sense. It felt so good. But that was two things that I observed today.
Awesome. Yeah, that'll help with your sequencing this afternoon, maybe. Awesome.
I have a question.
Sure.
Again, what was Paula saying about how you started off just for sequencing purposes?
At the beginning, we did it's in the book in English that we call it hip rolls, right? Where you lay on your back, you bring your knees to your chest and you roll them over to the side. Parivartanasana, I think is what it is in Sanskrit. That she said she normally does that at the end of class, like as a cool down. And I did it at the beginning as a warm up. Yeah, it can be done for sure. Especially if I'm going to do ab work, I tend to do that first. I teach Pilates as well, you know, in my past life. So I would, even before I started a Pilates class, sometimes I would do that pose because it helps people tend to pull in their neck and lead with their head and all that, those metaphors. So it helps kind of loosen things up for core work. But yeah, it's a great warm up pose for twisting. The main things, I guess, and if anything comes up and you want to share, please do. But I'll just kind of point out the things that I wanted to make sure that, like the little take-home messages that I had for you with twisting. And I don't know, I don't have these in order. I'm just going to speak off the cuff a little bit. But the first thing is that in a twist, that the whole body really twists. Like it's not, you know, a rooting down and then a torquing the spine, because that tends to be how, you know, especially if we're really rigid or tight in our hips and things. So when you're doing a warm up or you're gonna get into some deeper twisting, you want to make sure that the roots are nice and open. So like, that's why I started with like the wide angle forward bend, the Upavista Konasana, to get the length in the spine, but also to help kind of get more mobility in the hips. So then as we began to take rotation, that the rotation was spiraling up through the whole body. You know, example of that might be like in the seated twist. It's really helped me kind of understand, you know, just a simple seated twist. A lot of times we'll like root down in the hips and then twist, like just twist the spine. But the one kind of teaching that I really liked with this is that kind of thinking about the inner spiral and the hip. So if I'm twisting to my right, my left hip kind of lifts and gets a little lighter off the ground. I mean, it's not coming up, I'm not leaning, but there's the spiral starts from my sit bone, my hip bone, my rib cage. Like it's a spiral from the roots up, not a anchoring rotation. Just since Alita, you brought up Pilates, here I go with that kind of comparison. And Pilates a lot, you know, we'll root down, and the twists really are more muscular. They're meant to come from our muscles. That's different. And that's beneficial, and actually stuff you can bring into your yoga class where you make the twists come from the core. In yoga, it's not that, it's the opposite. It's where that rotation spirals up. Now, I want to still maintain a long spine. I don't want to be leaning back where I'm hunching back, or lean, you know, so upright that I'm arching my spine. But with the neutral spine, that the spiral comes from the base of the pose first, whether that's the hips, or in standing poses, it comes from the feet and all the way up. So I do like for beginners, or if I'm trying to really drive that concept home in a class of the inner spiral energy, just like I did in class, kind of that repetitive, like practice first. Can I get that to happen? And then make it go up into the upper parts of the spine that might be a little stiffer. So this is in your book under the tab 5 in the introduction for the twists, where it says it, I said it a few different times in the description, but in the second black bullet point, it says the entire spine should participate in the stretch. And that's what I mean. It's not anchor, twist. It's more fluid than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You know, a lot of the twists we were doing this morning, I would notice that if you would feel them in different, you know, both sides of the body, there was a tension between, say, your left hip and your right shoulder, or vice versa. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about. It's not just a single spot where you're twisting. It's universal throughout the whole body. Yeah.
If I anchor my foundation and then just twist from the spine, I'm really going to only move the vertebrae that are most mobile, which is probably the lumbar spine and the neck. You know,
usually the body would be most weak, where you know, would risk an injury or something, you know.
Exactly. So that, yeah, it's still it's this balance between maintaining like a heaviness in the root still. Like I don't want my hip just to go woo, you know, with me, but so there's an energy of hanging, but a lightness all at the same time. Yeah, it's just not locking down. That's the main thing. Especially in the standing poses, if you've kind of felt the difference, like a lot of people have trouble with a revolved triangle because like balance, you know, it's like what they'll do is they'll square their hips like this and they lock down in the roots and then try to twist, and it's harder to balance. Like you feel like you're going to tip over because you're too locked down in the legs. So getting them in like a forward fold, and then even doing that spiral of the leg first, the foot, the leg, it actually makes it way easier to balance. Because
Actually,
there's some, it's like they'll lock down here and then come into the forward fold, and it's like all the tension is just holding in the spine.
no, I liked that a lot.
Mhm.
When you had us in like a warrior one and you were saying just play with it, just play with your hips and just having that rotation at your pelvis, you know, first, because I have been doing it that way where I'm like, oh, warrior one, hip close, square off your legs, bend over, you know, triangle pose, hip close. And so then it is harder to get into those because you are so locked in at your hips. And then I'm trying to twist just at my rib cage.
Yeah. And so your spine's going, ugh. Yeah. Yeah. And when I did the Iyengar practice a lot, they would cue it like they would say thigh bone, hip bone, rib cage, shoulder, thigh bone, rib, you know, like every standing twist had that cue for their students. And I don't know, it just kind of helped it get in there. So, you know, you can kind of come up with that to keep it simple if you do like that way to get in the pose. Thigh bone, hip bone, rib cage, shoulder. And that we can enter into poses through movement, you know, that locking, you know, let me do it this way so you can see, I guess. As you come thigh bone, hip code, like you can spiral into it. Whoa, can't balance, you know, like where you can play with moving into it from that inner spiral versus setting it up, locking it down, getting the flexibility, then adding the rotation at the end.
Yes, Jen.
You what?
I want a whole class on like that. Remember at the retreat you did at the end of the retreat you had a class where it was more of like we went into the poses but we went into them really fluently.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I love the image of a spiral, even in the labyrinth kind of shape. You know, you can bring in metaphor of, you know, spirals move. And the body, by the way, loves, the nervous system and Ayurveda loves circles. It's like circling the arms. All this stuff is really nurturing to the nervous system. So yeah.
Shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, twists are one class that you can definitely play a little more in that. You know, in the standing poses we're like root down, squeeze up, thighs forward. It's all this like very, you know, it feels more rigid for alignment and the energy there. But yes, twists can be a little bit more fluid. So yeah, so good. You got that message. Rotation should the entire spine participates. The cue I gave about leaning back, what did you notice when you leaned back, what that offered?
So you engage different parts of your body. Your back, you can almost feel a shift where your back takes over and the front kind of opens a little bit. And I like that because it's something that I need, you know, to kind of be back and use the proper muscles for your posture or whatever you're doing. Yeah, that was a good cue. I like that.
Good. Yeah, it engages the back chain. Just like back bends, twists can happen and get deeper by engaging the back chain of muscles. So even Jamie, how you said you liked when I told you to pull your pinkies towards each other in Warrior 2, that's engaging the rhomboids and the muscles between your shoulder blades, which can help deepen the twist. You know, when we do chair and you press your hands and if you squeeze your shoulder blades together, it'll take that twist a little higher up. Yeah, engaging the back chain brings more of that like inner body brightness, as my current yoga teacher likes to say a lot. That inner body brightness, the squeeze, all the way up through your heart chakra. Yes, and it makes space. Because the tendency in students tends to be a forward posture. So leaning back actually gets the spine neutral instead of like having a bit of a hunch to it, you know, like especially like revolved chair, we tend to like be hunched, right? So if I lean back, I'm actually just lengthening my spine that way. I mean, in revolve, freaking, this one's the hard one, the revolved side angle to me, right? Like I gotta, and it gets my belly out of the way of my leg. Like it makes all kinds of space. But the main thing about leaning back is it's getting the spine neutral. Makes more space. And so yes, the ribs then can continue on with the spiral. So the rib cage, and then to deepen it, squeeze your shoulder blades that'll like ring out around the upper back, and then the head, the nose or whatever can turn to make the spiral all the way up through the crown. How's that sound? The one thing that I'm terrible at as a student is remembering to keep my lower abs in. As we're working in these spine, you know, this big spinal twists, and we're leaning back and we got our upper back engaged, we can forget about the belly. We want to make sure we're pulling in there because it's going to stabilize the lumbar spine, which can be weaker or extra mobile. So we don't want all the work happening in our lumbar spine. So pulling the belly in, even if you kind of do everything else and then you come back to the belly, draw it in. We want to remind our students of that. And that's in your book here under approaching twisting poses, the core muscle action. I do want to point out with the reclined hip rolls, Jathara, Parivartanasana, this one that we did at the beginning, and I did mention it in class, but the higher the knees are up to the chest and then you roll them over, the higher the twist is in the spine. When the knees drop away from the chest, it's going to twist more in the lumbar spine. It's not wrong. So if you're working with a client that's super tight, it might be too much to have it up by the chest and over. So it's not necessarily wrong for the knees to drop away, but just knowing the closer the knees are up to the chest, the higher the twist. And sometimes we want that twist up in the shoulders because that's where all the shit stays. So just so you're mindful when you're leading clients, like it's okay, you know, like, oh, that hurts. Okay, bring your knees down a little bit. And that's then like the easiest one is like with the windshield wipers, when we just lay with our feet wide and let your knees drop from side to side. That's really just a lot of low back, and it's amazing on your hips, but that's a variation of that bigger twist. This I love that twist, and I love this twist. You know, the knees up to the chest are the upper shoulders. The windshield wipers are going to get the lower half of the body. So you can even do both in your sequencing. I mean, I've been doing yoga forever, and the simplest poses like cat cow and windshield wipers are still like the best stretches. You know, it doesn't have to get super complicated. So you might have noticed in the standing twists, like standing triangle, revolved triangle and revolved side angle. And we did, yeah, well, even the revolved chair pose, that it's a big hip stretch, right? It's because of the forward bending action, this, right? You're gonna feel a lot of stretch here. So to take the intensity out of that, of course, would be blocks under the hands to bring the floor up. I'd rather see blocks under the hands to get the length in the spine and make the twist happen where it's supposed to happen, versus the hips being so tight that their twist kind of looks like this. Can you see how my shoulder is like forward and I'm more hunched? So if the legs are stopping the spine from getting neutral, you need to bring the floor up so that they can lean back. It's just we're also tight in the hips. So that's a very common like restriction to the standing twist, are the hips.
I noticed, and I wonder if anyone else had this issue, but it kept coming up a lot in practice today. My back heel kept coming up in the standing twist. It was very difficult. And I know my hamstrings are always tight, but is that why? Like I was having I kept literally looking at the camera to see if your foot was touching, like is her whole foot touching the ground? Because my back foot kept coming up when I would twist. I would kind of come up onto the ball of my foot, my heel.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if we're supposed to be on the ball of our foot, or we're supposed to try to keep our heel down, more of a crescent pose or a warrior two style,
Yeah, having your like in the revolved side angle, that's usually the one that's the hardest. Having your foot like a lunge is fine.
Yeah.
Then you're actually more doing the revolved like lunging thing.
Stable that way.
So yeah, and it's okay. This is just being mindful about where you want to take your body. But spinning my back heel down does make me have to work on that inner spiral a little bit more. So there is a different energy to putting the heel down and then getting the thigh bone. Here, I'll turn this way maybe. Thigh bone, hip bone, ribs. And then the heel, I'm getting a huge stretch of my Achilles and my calf. Yeah, but my heel is light. It's not like rooted down like mountain pose or anything. It's lifted slightly. I'm pretty flexible, but even it being up slightly, but with that spiral of the foot.
So you could lift the heel, just don't come in a complete lunge position.
Yeah, or just be mindful of what position you're going for, is what my point is. You're either up on a lunge, which has a different energy than having the heel down and having to work that spiral just from those few inches makes a big difference in the hip.
You're going to get more of a twist.
You're going to get more of a twist. You have to work the thigh bone, hip bone kind of rotation with the heel down. But it's okay if the heel is light on the floor.
Okay.
Like if it's lit and you just enjoy the stretch of that whole back of your leg.
Okay, I just didn't know.
So it's not wrong is my point. It's just kind of knowing what you're gonna work on.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have your heel lifted like a lunge, root through the big toe mound really strong. It'll balance you to go for it to lean back. Like you got to push through that big toe mound like nobody's business, and you'll be able to get without falling over sometimes.
This is why I love taking this class, because I've been doing it for so long, but knowing little stuff like that, you can't stop in the middle of class and ask somebody.
Yeah. The nuances of just like the heel up or down makes a big difference in the whole hip. Yeah. And none of it, I love that too. It's like in some days I want to do one over the other. So now you can choose. All right, anything else I wanted to point out? Just kind of reading through our intro, just in case you haven't yet. Firing into the side abdominals or obliques to rotate the ribs. What that means, a lot of times people will try to do the twist just by like throwing their arm into it. And that's what this is kind of talking about. It's like, we need muscular energy up, inner body bright to make room. This twists are not only just twists, they're twist and a squeeze. Like you guys were saying, we got to squeeze the nervous system. So no lazy twisting. It's not good for the spine. On the next page in twists, it says twists should not be held statically. You know, a little bit of, it doesn't have to be a complete release, but it's okay to do that. Like I was saying, that they're a little bit more fluid, or there's some gentle release on the exhale or the inhale, or however you're cueing the breath. Typically in yoga, you inhale when you lengthen the spine and you exhale as you twist. Just know you can do the opposite. That causes a completely different experience. Inhaling on the rotation actually engages more muscle. It's hard, you know, it's more work to get the rotation. You might not go as deep, but if you're trying to teach some strength or stability, you might cue the inhale on the twist. Does that make sense? Just these little things that you get to choose. Both are correct. The breath is restricted in a twist. That's the point, especially like in that bind, the Marityachana, you know, when you're seated, and like there is compression on your diaphragm. So doing encouraging breath is actually, you breathe into the compression. So you guide your students or your body to, that's how you're going to deepen the stretch, is to breathe into the twist, into the diaphragm. It'll, depending on how your body is and where you hold tension, but when I do that, I can feel even the stretch of my intercostal muscles that are in between my rib cage, and like all of the upper back muscles, by deepening the breath into the rotation. Okay. Would there be anybody I wouldn't do twists on? No. But it's not in the book. It says there are people that you shouldn't, like pregnancy. But I loved twists when I was pregnant. I just had to do the gentle ones. So I come from the school of in pregnancy, if you have someone, I mean, that everybody's a little bit different, but just a seated gentle twist can really feel good to kind of stretch the ligaments around the belly and get up into the shoulders where pregnant mamas can be tight. You're just, of course, not going to be able to do like a revolved side angle and stuff, because the belly is going to get in the way and the center of balance is off. But a lot of the seated twists, or earlier today, when we were sitting and I had you, this is a closed hip twist versus an open hip twist. For pregnancy, what I'll do is I'll have them bring their foot out a little bit wider than their hip. And then they can do this. There's plenty of room for their belly, and they can still enjoy a nice gentle twist. So if you see it out there, like in pregnancy, no twisting, you know, there's always a little asterisk, like gentle twisting's okay. Just don't go overboard. If there's significant back or spine injury, they're not, you know, you're gonna err on the side of safety and not do twisting. However, like, you know, things like windshield wipers of the knees. If someone's in a severe back pain, like my husband this week, he lifts stone for a living. He comes home every night really tight. So I just have him lay on the floor and drop the knee, like do the windshield wipers. The figure 4 stretch is so good for anybody in severe back pain. So that's my little asterisk on that no, like spine injury. Something very gentle can actually feel good. You're just gonna have to take it slow and very gentle. Okay, deep twist should be avoided during menstruation. This is, have we talked about the menstruation period thing in yoga? I don't know if you guys have heard all of this yet, but just so you know, if this comes from an Ayurvedic principle, which is in, you know, the kind of healthcare to yoga is Ayurveda. And the idea is that our body is trying to apana, trying to release energy. Our energy is down. We, you know, even our life energy is low, and so we're not going to do anything that counteracts the natural tendency to rest when we're on our periods. And so because twists require not only a twisting but an activation and a squeeze, that takes a lot of energy, right, to squeeze in and get the muscle action. So it's not the twist that's bad for menstruation, it's counterintuitive to the body's natural rhythm of having low energy. So that's the whole period story. When you see like, don't do this when you're menstruating, it's just because it's not that it's unsafe, it's just counter to our natural rhythm. And you can add on or ask questions, but I just wanted to point that out so you're not worried, like if you're on your period today, that we just did a bunch of twists. Same goes with inversions. You'll see that in the next chapter, it mentions it. And that's because, again, energy is moving downward, and it takes a lot of energy to be up in an inversion muscularly, but also the physical body is upright the opposite way. And so they say like toxins will go back into the body, and that's the rationale behind that. So, okay, how are we doing on time? So let's take a little break because everyone's looking like they need one. And then let's see, what time is it? 11 or 12:50 your time. Would like 1:15, 1:20 work for you? A half hour? If we're going to talk this afternoon. We're done with movement. So if you want to eat, have your snack with you, do your thing, you're welcome to bring it back. I'm going to log off of here just for the recording purpose. And there's a second link to come back at, it'll be 12:15 my time. So 1:15 your time. Okay.
Okay.
Sound good? Okay. Adios, amigos. See you soon.